Crazytown. We're talking about guys, girls, sexual relationships, marriages, because the world that we live in, as it pertains to all this stuff, is just plain crazy. Now, I've built the messages that I've been sharing here. First and foremost, it comes from the Bible. Okay, that's going to be the basis. You're not going to come to Frontline and not hear from the Bible, okay? But I've also added in experiences I've had with you guys, things students have asked me, situations I've had to, mediate, you could say. I've got some of my own personal experiences that I'm drawn a little bit from. And last week, I talked about things girls wish guys knew. Tonight, we're going to flip the script, okay? Girls, I realize I can't get to everything, but I tried to hit some major ones. But I remember just a few years ago, I had a parent and their student coming to talk to me, and their student had just come out of a really bad breakup. Felt really bad for the student. They were very emotional, as well they should have been. And the parent said something that sometimes I hear parents say, I hear students say it a lot, but she said something to the effect of, well, I'm glad they have this experience. I want them to have a dating experience. I want them to have experience in that. I got to tell you something. I don't necessarily agree with that. Not at this stage of the game. Not at this age. Let me try to explain why. I had a leader, okay? I asked my leaders this week to give me some advice on dating. Some of it was funny, some of it was serious. There's a lot of good things, but one of my leaders said this: dating for any other purpose other than marriage is just dating for a heartbreak. Dating for experience or figuring out your preference is not what God's called you to do. Now, let me read you a few more things that some of my leaders offered. One of them says, date someone who makes you genuinely laugh, treats you kindly in all situations, not just when they want something, and someone who your parents like. Another person says, this is a female leader, by the way, not a male leader. Dating is like pushing your tray along on a cafeteria line. Nothing looks all that good, but you got to pick something by the time you get to the cashier. Another one says, you're dating or not dating, getting married or not getting married. It's not the most important thing in life. The most important thing in life is you understand the gospel. This is another lady, not a guy, who offers this. Ladies, make sure to wear perfume if you're on a date with a guy in a small car, because farts happen. Another one, each of you is already dating someone's future wife or husband. You need to see yourself in such a way. I would encourage each of you to take time to pray for your future spouse, not just for God to send them to you, but rather pray for their hearts and their relationship with God. Two more. Godliness is the most important thing to look for if you want to date, but good looks don't hurt either. Don't date anyone you haven't seen without their mask. And one last one. Don't base your personal value on whether or not you're in a relationship. God loves you more than you can imagine because he made you in his image. Now, I have a few more that I'm going to share as I go through this message. But I just want to review really, really quickly from last week. The 5 things that girls want guys to know. 1, don't play games with me, right? Be honest. Don't lead me on. 2nd, it's okay to have a life outside of each other, okay? Guys, you need your guy friends. Girls, you need your girlfriends. You need to have a life separate from one another as well. The 3rd one was mine. Take a shower. Your Axe body spray is not fooling anybody. The 4th one was no means no. Guys, I told you that a Christian guy, a good guy, doesn't even put a girl in position to have to say no. And the last one was love Jesus like me. To find someone who has a faith like you value your faith. So girls, tonight I'm speaking to you. Guys, you're welcome to listen along. I think you're going to agree with a lot of things that I'm going to share. But guys and girls are a big topic of comedy. Comedians talk about it all the time. So I found a few clips because I think it's important that we have some fun and we have a balance with some seriousness. So here's what a few of the comedians I've found had to say about guys trying to understand girls.
Ladies, I don't understand. I think wearing heels is like doing drugs. Hear me out, ladies. First of all, I think wearing heels is like doing drugs. Hear me out, ladies. First of all,
you feel great while you're up there.
You do it to get high.
When you come down, it hurts and you regret it. But then you do it again, don't you? And again, and again, and again. I think you have a problem.
I swear, I have absolutely no idea what women are thinking. I don't get it, okay? I admit, I'm not getting the signals. I am not getting it. Women, they're so subtle. They're little... Everything they do is subtle. Men are not subtle. We are obvious. Women know what men want. Men know what men want. What do we want? We want women. That's it. It's the only thing we know for sure. It really is. We want women. How do we get them? Oh, we don't know about that. We don't know. The next step after that, we have no idea. This is why you see men honking car horns, yelling from construction sites. These are the best ideas we've had so far.
Men are not good at marriage. We're just not prepared for marriage. Women, you are very prepared. Like, look at all the toys you played with. Like, when you're a kid, when you're a baby and you're born, they give you a baby doll. So they give you a baby when you're a baby. They're like, look, I would probably start figuring this out. This is where it's going. And then they give you Barbie and Ken, so you have to deal with all that drama that they have. Then women would play house. They would just play house. They would fake vacuum. When I see my wife vacuum now, I'm like, she is living her childhood dream. She has made it. Hey, I can't compete. Because as a guy, we didn't have any of that. We played Fort. We had to keep everybody out of where we are. And the only toys we had were Transformers and Ninja Turtles. Those are not even real things. None of them had wives. They weren't married. I got in trouble because for my wife's birthday, I bought her an oven for her birthday. Yeah. Listen, here's why. Because like the vacuum, her other favorite toy as a kid was the Easy Bake Oven. So I was like, all right, I'll get her a legitimate big girl oven. An adult oven, like that's not impressive. If she bought me a truck and it turned into a live robot, I would freak out and be like, this is the greatest gift I have ever had in my life. This is the best. I always get home late doing comedy, and my wife will be asleep, so I'll go in, I fix something to eat, I'll watch TV, I'll be home for like an hour, then I hear my wife from the bedroom, and she'll be like, Nate, is that you? You know, you better hope to God it's me. You have let some murderer get quite comfortable in this house. He is eating. And if someone broke into our house, we don't have a gun to protect us. So, like, oh, I have a pocket knife. That's what I have, which is going to do nothing. I could hope to aggravate him at best. Like, I'd cut him and he'd be like, you just ripped my shirt, and then he'd murder both of us. That's best case scenario. So what we have to do, me and my wife, we have to sleep strategically in our bed to prepare for an attack. So my wife, she sleeps next to the door because it's my strategy. So, yeah, I drew it up. So the plan is she's next to the door. So when the guy comes in, she's gonna lunge at him, whether she's awake or not, but she will lunge. And she's from Alabama. She's pretty scrappy. So she will put up a pretty good fight with this guy. At least a good enough fight that I can be practicing with my knife on my side. I can already have it out. He won't even see that part. So when he comes to me, I'll be like, I don't know if you looked over here while you fought my wife. But that used to be one whole pillow. I'm just saying, it's your call at this point.
Last time we went to Slam, the speaker Derek, that's actually his brother. So he's got two Netflix specials now, so you guys should check them out. All right, so here we go. You girls ready? This is 5 things dudes want you to know. I've never seen so much interest at youth group. This has been really good. Okay, here we go. The perfect guy doesn't exist. Hear me say it again. The perfect guy does not exist. See, girls grow up with this idea of fairy tales. I mean, it starts right away, right? You got Prince Charming, and then you got, I can only think of one dude. Help me, I can only think of Goofy in addition to Prince Charming, and I know that's not somebody you like. The knight in shiny armor idea, for heaven's sakes, okay? You grow up with that, but by the time you get to be a teenager, it's worse, because now you're into chick flicks. Okay? In chick flicks, every dude is as perfect can be, right? It's like he's strong, but he's sensitive. And he's quiet, but he's funny. And he's mysterious, but he's thoughtful. And every single time, he's the best looking person in the entire movie. Look, there's a lot of emphasis put on the fact that women are held to ridiculous standards. But let me tell you something about it. I agree with that. But a lot of it comes from other women. Look, listen, girls feel the need to keep up with each other. Dudes aren't pressuring each other to keep up with each other in that kind of arena. I assure you of that. The truth is, young men, especially between the ages of like 13 and I would even say upwards of 21 or 22, half of them, they don't even know who they are yet. They're trying to figure it out. I mean, somewhere around 10th, 11th, 12th grade, that's when some of them are starting to put it together. So if you're trying to compare them to something that they're not, when they still don't even know who they are, that's a problem. Let me tell you something. When a guy watches a chick flick with you, when he goes to the movies with you and he sees you falling in love with the lead character, he doesn't get it. He wants you to understand that is fiction. These dudes in the movie theater, this is real life. Okay? You ever see those memes that are like what I think I look like versus what I actually look like? You know what I'm talking about? Of course I got a few. It's like this. Guys, how they think they look when they stare at a girl versus how they actually look when they stare at a girl. It's like that. Well, how about this? Girls, you know better. You put up your pictures with like your face mask stuff on. It's like what you think you look like and what you actually look like. Dudes have this really bad. Guys always want to look like superheroes. We think we look like Wolverine, but we look like Ace Ventura. One last one. This one hit home with me this morning because I don't shave because of laziness, but how you think you look when you don't shave, how you actually look. Guys, I want you to understand, they're not perfect like the dude in the movies. They're not as funny as your favorite actor. Fairy tales are called fairy tales for a reason because they're made up. Like Prince Charming is always going to be way more interesting than like Kevin from chemistry class, okay? He can't compete. You need to understand that. But let me tell you something else. When you compare guys to these kinds of individuals, it's not us who loses. It's you. It's you. Because you're not going to find someone that's going to live up to that kind of a standard. Because he doesn't exist. I'm not saying you need to lower your standards. You need to have realistic ones. Titus 2:7. Show yourself in all respects to be a model of good works. In your teaching, show integrity and dignity. Girls, if you find a guy who models good works of Christ, a guy who's filled with integrity, who cares about dignity, that is the kind of guy you should be concerned about finding. You can go ahead and have your Hollywood crushes, whoever it is that girls think is attractive. I Googled attractive celebrity guys, and somebody named Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Gosling, apparently Ryan, something or other. Let me tell you, there's decent dudes around you. They want you to understand there's not a perfect guy. Second thing that we want you to know, we want you to help us out. We want you to help us out. If I was going to come up with a list of 5 things guys want girls to know, this one is always going to be on this. These aren't in any particular order, but if they were in order of importance, this is going to be number 1. Because you have no idea how sexually minded guys are. You think you know, but you don't know. You don't have a clue. Okay, girls, I want you to think about this just for a second. How many times does a sexual concept enter your mind in a day? Okay, you get that number, multiply it times about 4,000, and you're going to end up with what a guy is. That's how it is. You don't understand. You think you understand, but you have no idea. That is how we are. This is going to be a really general statement. But the fact is, guys, especially in their teenagers, they're wired to develop this way. Biologically, there's all kinds of research that's been done about it. And for a Christian guy, this isn't easy to keep that in check. It's really not. Guys aren't just guys aren't just a bunch of immature perverts. Well, some are, that's for sure. But like, Christian guys have a different battle. And let me tell you why, because a Christian guy understands. He's trying to refrain from giving into those indulgences, right? It's this verse. Any Christian guy who knows this verse, it haunts him. But I say, this is Jesus speaking. Anyone who even looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. You see, Jesus understands exactly how men think, how big of a deal this is for them, where it goes in their minds. And he makes a really important point. He makes a really important distinction. He says, guys, when you look at a woman in the wrong way, you've already gone the distance with her in your heart. But let me tell you something. Responsibility is not just on us, guys. Girls, we need you to help us. Now, I need you to hear me the whole way on this, because you might just hear one thing and then stop and think, oh, I don't want to listen to this anymore. I need you to hear the whole thing. Let me get really practical. Okay? Whether or not you agree with it, this is how it is. When you wear the tightest clothes possible, when you wear leggings everywhere you go, the truth is you're drawing a guy's eyes downward. When you wear low-cut shirts everywhere, you're having a guy draw his eyes right to your neckline every time. When you go and you post all kinds of pictures on your social media, running around in like really provocative poses, or you're wearing the skimpiest of bathing suits, what you're doing is you're inviting a guy to sexualize that image. It's the truth. Now, girls can step back and they can say, I want to dress how I want to dress. I want to post what I want to post. You know what? You can't. Go ahead and do that. But you do not understand how that's being interpreted in a guy's mind. So let me ask you a few questions. Would you post the same photos that you post if you had 0 male followers? Let me ask you another one. Would you want your boyfriend looking at the kind of photos that you post of other girls? One last one. Would you want your future sons seeing those same photos of you years from now? Because if the answer to that is no, what are you doing? See, girls want guys to respect them, and they should. Girls want guys to see them for more than just their bodies and for being objects, and they should. But what we have a hard time understanding is, why are you using your body then to try and get yourself attention? Ladies, you're getting attention for doing those things. But it's not the attention you should want, and it's far less than what you deserve. Proverbs 31:10 puts it this way. An excellent wife, who can find? She's far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her. She will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. Let me make this simple. A godly woman is worth more than treasure. Girls, you're right. You found how to get our attention. But the truth is, you have no idea how far it goes in our minds, and if you did, you'd be mortified. I told you last week, growing up in Christian circles, I heard this stuff a lot to the point that I just would quit listening the second it was brought up. But I remember it must have been sophomore, junior year of high school. We had a chapel speaker come in. We had chapel speakers every week from different places. But this time, the lady who came was very, very attractive. Every dude in there, there's probably 250 of us, were very interested in anything she was going to say. In fact, when she left and walked out the gymnasium, all the guys watched her go, and my friend that was next to me says, and there she goes, really loud, trying to be a total goofball. But she was like a news anchor for Channel 4, I think. And she was actually there to talk to the girls about this very thing. What she talked about was the temptation it was to dress a certain way to get more attention. Try to portray herself in a certain way that would help her to find favor with her male bosses. She said something that I'll never, ever forget. She said to the girls, I used to dress like trash. And you know what I attracted? Flies and maggots. Let me tell you something. The way you dress, the photos you post, they say everything about the kind of guy you're trying to attract. We're onto it. We understand it. Guys, we need to watch our eyes. Girls, we need you to help us out. 1 Peter 3 and 4 says, don't be concerned about the outward beauty of fancy hairstyles, expensive jewelry, beautiful clothes. You should clothe yourselves instead with the beauty that comes from within, the unfading beauty of a gentle, quiet spirit, which is precious to God. What this is saying is there's two kinds of girls. Those that are beautiful on the outside, those that are beautiful on the inside and the outside. Let me tell you, as your youth pastor, I look at you girls as like little sisters of mine. And I can tell you something, it's be beautiful on the inside and on the outside. The third thing, I'm going to move a little faster on these last few. Relax. Would you just chill out? Okay, we don't think like you. Take a deep breath, for goodness sakes. Don't overanalyze everything. We see you overthinking and assuming a lot of things. Let me tell you something. We see it, we don't understand it, but we see it. It's some of the charm in the wonder of a woman in how they're designed. Like, we get that's how they think. That's one part of it. The other part of it is it's just plain crazy sometimes. We don't think like you do. We're not analyzing everything like you are. A lot of the time, there is so much energy put into assuming things that aren't even true. You waste a lot of time. Fear and insecurity is often at the center of it. Bad communication's at the center of it. But if you're in a relationship where you're trying to pursue someone and all it does is make you horribly anxious, Psalm 34 says, I prayed to the Lord, he answered me, he freed me from all my fears. If you are entirely anxious about the process, you got to work on your heart with the Lord. Last week I told you that like 9 out of 10 conversations about relationships are usually after a breakup, and that's got to be pretty close to accurate. Every so often though, it's not that. Usually it's about something that's wrong. Okay, I mean, relationship's not over, but something else is going on. Whether it's his or her parents, they don't like me. Or his or her friends, they don't like me. Or he doesn't have as much time for me as that he should. People say things like, we need to work on our relationship. We need to keep working on our, let me tell you something. You should be working on being a teenager. The one that makes me chuckle a bit is like poor communication, because people say that and they sound really justified in it. I think, of course you have bad communication. You're at the age where we're not even talking to each other 2 years ago, for heaven's sakes. And now when you talk to each other, it's not like you call each other up and talk. I mean, you're typing, you're not even looking at the person, for goodness sakes. I mean, have some realistic expectations about that. But let me say something else. Oftentimes girls are upset that you're not a guy's biggest priority. Let me make this really clear. You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. You're going to say, oh, I already know what he's going to say, God should be their biggest priority. Yeah, that's true. But there's somebody else who's a bigger priority to him. You know who it is? His mom. His dad even. Let me say, a lot of attention gets put on dads and daughters. But there's a very special bond between a mom and a son. It's not talked about in the same way. One frontline leader says this: girls, watch how the guy you like or are dating treats and talks about his mom. It's an indication of how they'll treat you later in life. Girls, you like to get on guys, your boyfriends, about how they're dressing or not dressing. Are you keeping track of your time the way that you should? Are you doing all your homework? Let me make this abundantly clear. He needs you to be his girlfriend, not his second mother. Do you got that? Stop trying to be his mother. He doesn't want you to be his mother. It's not your role. Perhaps if your relationship with his mother is not very good, maybe it's because you're trying to do her job. When he is living at home with his parents, those are his parents' responsibilities, not yours. The time comes where he's old enough and he's moved on, and perhaps you have to bother him about those kinds of things, but it's not now. It's not now. Fourth thing. There's still good guys out there. That's the nicer way of saying this, but I'm going to say it the blunt way. Stop dating jerks. Stop dating jerks. Why are you so obsessed with jerks? Why do you like the cocky, arrogant guys? Let me explain something to you about them. Okay? They're really cocky, arrogant guys that aren't Christians, guys that don't care. They're after something, one thing. They want as a physical of a relationship as they can possibly find. Christian guys, they're much more assertive because of that. They're going to pursue you differently because of that. Christian guys are trying their best to not indulge those feelings and those urges. They're trying to pull themselves back. But the good guys are here too. Not every stereotype about guys are true. Hear me on this one. Guys are way more emotional than you think. It's true. Guys care. Guys want to be what you're looking for. I assure you of that. When guys are rejected carelessly, it hurts. When you reject a guy and he sees you laughing with your friends, it hurts him. When he hears from other people that you've talked badly about him after you've rejected him, it feels like he's just a big bag of trash out on the curb. We hurt. We're emotional. Another thing is, guys have boundaries too. Oftentimes, it's always looked at as it's the guys who push the boundaries. It's the guys who try to push the girls to go further than they should. That's not always true. You see, I said it last week. If you're both not committed to the same kinds of boundaries, you're going to fail. Last one. Same as last week. Love God, just like me. I mean, I said it last week too. If you're not a follower of Christ, hey, I'm not interested. Look, it has to be your faith. Girls, this is a bad illustration, but I feel like I need to give you some kind of picture to hang on to. But imagine yourself here standing where I am. And if you have somebody you committed your life to following Christ, imagine it's you and Christ hand in hand here. Then let's say it's even Mr. Wonderful from your favorite chick flick, the most perfect dude ever, and he comes up and he's going to be your other guy. But let's say he has no faith in Christ. See, what's going to happen is Christ wants you to go one way, follow his design. Mr. Perfect is going to want you to go his way. It's going to happen. He's not concerned about Christ's way. So what's going to happen is over time, he's going to start pulling you this way. And this is, your arms are going to reach further and further, and your grip is going to get looser and looser until finally you just plain let go. And I've seen it happen in this youth group several times. One of our other leaders says this: don't disregard God's guidance on the importance of being equally yoked. 2 Corinthians, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. For what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness, or fellowship has light with darkness? This leader goes on to say it's of utmost importance that we share the same faith with the person you're in the relationship with. The first thing you should look for in a dating companion is a person who is a disciple of Christ. The verse is not meant to discourage you, it's meant to protect you. God wants what's best for us. And when we yoke ourselves with unbelievers, we're asking for challenges down the road. Okay, I got one last point that I need you girls to get. Stop going into relationships thinking you're going to change a guy. Just stop it. It doesn't work. You know how, I know it doesn't work. On occasion, God gets a hold of a guy's life and something can happen. But let me tell you, I've been doing this job for 8.5 years. I can live my faith the best that I can. I can teach in it as passionately as I can, as clearly as I can, but I've learned something. I can't change you. As much as I want to, I cannot change you. Only God can do that. You can't change a guy. Even if you go into this thinking, I want to pursue this guy and I'm going to change him, that is the most dangerous recipe you can have for going after someone. But you think you can do it? You see, your marriage relationship should lead you closer to God, not something that pulls you away from him. See, the opposite is also true. If you're in an unhealthy relationship, it's going to take you further from God. So I got some application for you girls. Here's the first one. Read Proverbs 31. It's about what a godly woman should look like. Set a reminder in your phone. Read Proverbs 31. And when you read it again the next day. It'll take you 5 minutes. Maybe that's something you want to talk about in your small groups. Maybe you want to try each day this week to read Proverbs 31. Because let me tell you, any Christian guy, any guy who's worth anything, that's the kind of woman he wants. Okay. Second one, look for the compromises in your life. What I mean by that is, what kind of signals are you sending to guys? Are you dishonest? Are you leading guys on? The third one, make a small change right away. What I'm saying is be active, be proactive. Take a stand. Say, you know what, I don't need to post that. Say, you know what, I'm going to stop trying to be my boyfriend's second mother. Not only will he appreciate it, she'll appreciate it. Something else you should do, as one of the leaders mentioned earlier, pray for him. Maybe you're not dating someone, pray for him. Fourth one, wait for a good one. They do exist. You know, sometimes you can't help but wonder, if the right person's out there. Sometimes it feels like you're searching for some lost treasure and the map is no good and you just feel like it's never going to happen. But you know what? God's got that in his timing. One last thing. One of our other frontline leaders says this. I keep a Bible that's for my future husband. And in this, I write out prayers for him, highlight verses, make notes. This is how I remember to think of myself as someone's future wife. And it is a way that I remember to honor my future husband by holding myself accountable. The whole point of the last 2 weeks, guys, has been to help you realize what the right one should look like. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you once again, for the opportunity to freely come here and to talk through your word, to talk about situations that are right in front of us. Lord, some of us have been in relationships and have experienced the joys of what that can provide. Others of us have been in relationships and have experienced hardships that can come from it. Others of us yet have not been a part of any kind of a relationship like that. Lord, but we know we need to yield in your design and plan for how that looks. Lord, I take comfort in the fact that even though I don't know what my future holds, you do. Lord, it's not easy to pursue something that is, this world tells us we should be doing something entirely different. Lord, we know your promises are true. Lord, I pray for strength for students that may be a part of relationships that they shouldn't be in to walk away from them. Lord, I pray for those who have wronged others for the courage to go and to make amends. Lord, I pray for, once again, for strength that when we're being pressured, that we stand on your truth and we say no. Lord, teach us to be men and women after your heart. Guide us now in our small group time. In your name, amen. All right, you guys are free to go.